everyone. Behind me we have the tent. So what we're trying to do is, because it's cold, trying to keep the laminations that we're doing here nice and warm as the epoxy cures. We're using fast hardener, but still with the cold slab here and the environment of the fog and mist and the freezing cold mornings, we need to keep it warm. So we've started off by fairing down about, we'll go from a foot up from the stem, fair in, and then we roll the edge to the bottom of the stem and keel so that fiberglass can come around and sit nicely against the hull. We've also created a little slight divot, or I don't know what you call it, but we've rebaited basically for the glass to sit in on the side of the hull so that the next layer of glass just rolls over the top and we don't get out of fair. So it's just an easy way to sort of overlap the glass. So that looks pretty good. Now once we're working in sections, so the boat is actually quite levitated. There's not much holding it up. I've got this prop here that you can see, and another prop here and props aft, but there's quite a large section over 3.5 meters of unsupported boat, just so that we can laminate the stem in nicely and the keel. It's quite a few laminations. It's going to be about 300 a foot, deep. So we've got a lot of laminations to do, and we'll just work in stages with epoxy and fastening it in, and then at the end of it will all be bolted in. Now I know everyone's going to say you should have built the boat upside down, but we still stand by the fact that we're happy we built it right way up. We haven't come across any massive issues with building right way up strip plank boat, and we're just happy that we didn't have to roll a 40-foot boat in the shed once we've planked up, and now it's just always level, it's always stable, and it's in the one spot. So laminating underneath, it's not a big issue. We just sort of get the planks and screw them in to hold them temporarily while the glue cures, and then they'll be bolted through. We're doing this section, the lower section first, and then we're going to move up to the stem. That's so that our scarf is facing the right way. I can explain that later. But we have to work in sections, and obviously at the bow here, it's quite a tight curve. So right now we're laminating inch stock to the bottom of the keel here. But once we get up the top, we'll have to start laminating with, 10 mil laminates maybe, just to make that curve nicely. So now that we've got this bit fiberglassed, we can start preparing stock to laminate to that, and move on. Just got to keep it warm. So you can kind of rest it on that post and climb your way. And then just hold up a step, is that going to balance? You have to keep yours pretty low.
Oh.
How are we going to do this? Doesn't matter. Find it. Look kind of straight, looks like it has to go that way a bit. Yep, let's try that.
Yeah, I'm just not going to go for that second.
Pinning with bronze screws. First lamination.
Oh, sorry.
so shaky. Yeah, push it up and I'll just get another piece of the wall. Good. Alright. Now I'm just going to run along, punch a few screws in there, and then we can start just wiping the glue away. Okay, so what I do is I transfer the shape from each previous lamination, stem lamination, keel lamination, onto another board. You probably won't be able to see, but there's a line down here, and I just cut that with a circular saw. I've got about 10mm play either side to shape the keel down when it's all laminated on. So yeah, I just cut that out, and then I put a scarf on one end for the step scarf that goes into the stem, so the stem comes down into the keel, and there'll be a large scarf there, and I just pre-scarf that so I don't have to do it upside down. So I just cut this mummer out, and then that's it, and then put a scarf on it. What I'm doing here is putting about a 10mm bit of wood back there underneath the scarf, and then clamping down so that I get a nice seal on the edge of the table here, so that when I'm planing down it keeps my feather edge of the scarf and keeps it accurate and doesn't break it. I'm going 190 in. That's my scarf length. Pretty sure. Hopefully it's 190. Find out. Roughening it up to get a good glue join. Nice coarse, you know, not smooth. Good surface for gluing. We're back at the shed again today. This is the third day of laminating the stem. Ifka's here today to help out, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to finish the first part of the stem lamination. We have to slowly build up the aft section because the lead, we need about 200 for the lead to not come into, and at the front I think it wastes away to 180 or something like that, 150 even. I'm working from inches to metric, trying to, so from, I don't know. Anyway, so we just keep laminating our way up. It's still cold here, got the heaters going. You can probably see the cold air coming out of my mouth, but the glue's going off and curing, so that's good. So it's strong bond, and it's safe. happening behind me is we're laminating the forward half of the stem. We're working in 10mm laminations, plus minus, probably 8mm realistically, and each one individually curves around the hull. It'll be bolted later, and it all works back into a scarf at the bottom. I'm thinking about step scarfing, which I can show you later. So each one goes into a step, and then the other one overlaps and goes into a step as well. We've put a fillet on the side of the first two laminations to fair in that from the hull to stem to get a blunt stem. And now we're going to build out the stem for about, I think, 5 or 6 inches out. We'll build the stem. It's slow going, working in about 1 or 2 laminates at a time, just because it gets a bit out of control if you're trying to juggle a million laminations in one. You know, it starts twisting and doing odd things, and you don't notice when you're not getting a good glue join or something like that. Yeah, I've prepared 2 now, and I'm going to try and stick them on. See how we go. So what I've done is we're about 5 laminations in on the stem now, maybe 6, and I've tried to get my widths of the stem accurately now, so that what I can do is transfer it onto a lamination and have a guide to fair the stem into that's straight and I know the curve is good. And then all the other laminations just come down to that, and then I know I'm sweet. So that involves setting a center line on the stem, running a laser, and then on this setting a good straight center line and fairing it in the curve. So I'm just going to tack a batten on and fair that in, and then cut it out and plane it with the hand plane to make it smooth and fair, and then this will be my guide lamination, theoretically. Sorry for the poor lighting, it's early morning on a Friday, 7:30. But last night I got my faired in lamination, so the good lamination on the stem, and now I'm going to try and run a trimmer along it to keep the shape the same as my guide, as my good lamination. So I'm going to use this little guy to try and bring it in. It's got a roller on one side, and then it'll run alongside that and hopefully cut out the rest of it.